Shalom, shalom, and welcome. Welcome to the White Rose Family Channel. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I'm compelled to present before an awakening set-apart nation. My brothers and sisters, there's a lot of speculation and a lot of talk regarding the final Exodus. Some might even say the greater Exodus. And I'm compelled to present a series called The Final Exodus Countdown 2023. And I'm referencing specifically the month known by the Gregorian calendar as December 21st, 2023. I believe it would be extremely clear that the Exodus has begun during this particular time. And in the first installment of the final Exodus, Countdown 2023, I explain why and how it relates to a great conjunction that is anticipated to occur. If you Google or search Great Conjunction and read the article that talks about 1623, and that it is anticipated that 2023, which is 400 years later, it's anticipated that another great conjunction will occur. There are many factors that have brought me to the point where I would say the month known as December 2023. And I speak on that in the first installment of the Final Exodus Countdown 2023. But I'm saying again, my brothers and sisters, from dreams, from visions, from confirmation, to the things that I believe I've received in my spirit, I believe this will mark a time where there will be no doubt that the greater Exodus will begin. It will not be complete. I'm not sure it will be completed, but it will be in full swing to where there will be no doubt that the Almighty Father is gathering his children as promised in Isaiah 11:12 from the four corners of the earth, as promised as it states in Isaiah 43. But notice in 43 it says those for his esteem, those whom he has chosen to complete the fulfillment of that promise. Before I get into this installment, my brothers and sisters, I want to say that the views expressed in these messages do not necessarily reflect the views of the owners, managers, shareholders, and or sponsors of these media platforms. These words are words I am compelled to present before you. And I am trusting and believing that Isaiah 55:11, which speaks of the Almighty Father's words not returning to him empty or void, will confirm whether these words are true or not. I also put up a series called The Closing Scroll. I strongly encourage you to listen to that series, my brothers and sisters, and look around and witness what is happening as it relates to habitable places on this planet. I've built a numeric system for each message in case you're sharing it with someone else. And in this segment, Body Parts number 5, I originally thought it would be 4 parts to body parts, 4 segments to body parts, and I stand corrected and ask your forgiveness. This is the 5th part and the final segment regarding body parts as a sequence of messages. I began with presenting body parts, the need for not taking each other for granted, not taking anyone for granted that is part of this set-apart body of Yashar'al, consisting of both Hebrews and Gentiles made one by Yahushua Mashiach. I am not saying, let me be clear, I am not saying Hebrews by race and nationality, that a Gentile will become a Hebrew by nationality as it relates to a practical sense. Hebrews are those of Abraham's descent by race, those who have been known as colored people, Afro-Americans, and various other bywords. The Gentiles are made one with us, those who are drawn by the Almighty Father, as it mentions in John 6:44, to Yahushua Mashiach, And it's by Yahushua Mashiach. In spirit, we're grafted into the set apart nation of Yashar'al, commonly known as Israel. We will learn, my brothers and sisters, that the scriptures distinguish nationality, or as some will say, race, Hebrews from Gentiles. But we will also learn that the ultimate goal is the spirit within us that is set apart, made set apart by Yahushua Mashiach. The spirit of set apartness within us. That's what's made one. So many people take the scriptures when they say neither Hebrew nor Jew nor neither Greek and think that that means we disregard who we are visually, physically. When that scripture speaks of you're neither Jew nor Greek or Hebrew, it's speaking in spirit, set apart spirit, the inward man. When it speaks of nationality in terms of I will draw you from the four corners of the earth for which I have scattered you, talking about the set apart ones of Yashar'al, commonly known as Israel. These are those whom we must visually be able to distinguish are Hebrews or Abraham in order to fulfill Revelation 7 chapter, in order to fulfill coming together as one. We must begin to know the difference. There is the ways of the Gentile, and there is the ways of the set-apart Hebrew. The ways of the Gentile, the scriptures use the word heathen or wicked. And I will talk about this whole thing about Esau, Yaakov, whose name was changed to Yashar'al, and Esau, whose name was changed to Edom. They were brothers by race and nationality from the natural perspective. From the spiritual side, they were two different nations. And I will speak on that wholly in more detail in the coming days ahead. But in this specific matter, I want to pick up on more that is necessary regarding body parts. I started out with saying don't take anyone for granted that's set apart, that is drawn by Yahuah to Yahushua Mashiach. We must recognize from the least to the greatest. And many are being neglected. Many are being taken for granted. Then I went into body parts number 2, identifying the functions of the body parts that we were able to recognize and that we will come to recognize. That was body parts number 2. Body parts number 3, what we take in will have some influence on what we demonstrate in our actions, in our words. Being mindful of the need to be led by the Spirit of Yahuah and being ready to guard the things that are confirmed to be set apart and share and preach and teach and speak on the things that are set apart. That was body parts number 2. Body parts number 2 was the functions of each body part. What's to be expected from each body part. 3 is what's taken in. What teachings, what readings, what understanding have we received that is true and confirmed to be righteous? We must be mindful. Every body part, with each teaching, with each moment that passed, we should be growing in maturity. We should be navigating from milk to meat. And if we're in meat, we should be navigating into how to absorb the things in more detail regarding growing in maturity. And then the third body part, the first was not taking the body parts for granted. The second was identifying the functions or expected functions of each body part. would be the second. The third is what we're taking in, the teachings that we're taking in. Let me get that straight. You might have to hit rewind and play it again. But let me say it again. The first, recognizing and not taking one another for granted. 2, on body parts, understanding what the expectations and functions of these body parts are. 3, what we take in to strengthen these body parts, to make us strong, more fitly joined together. And then 4, I spoke on the dietary laws, how eating clean better affects our physical health and well-being, and how even spiritually, taking clean words that are acceptable to the Almighty Father, words that bear witness and line up with the scriptures as they are made alive, how that is important. And now I want to come to 5, the battles and work that we face when we begin to identify our true calling, the true tasks that we will discover have been assigned to us by the Almighty Father. It might be through his Spirit directly, my brothers and sisters, or it might be him working through another to confirm what gifts, what talents, what tasks he has given you. And even in recognizing all the body parts and their functions comes the battle, the work for guarding, fortifying, strengthening, and witnessing to others, demonstrating to others what is true and what is right in the eyes of the Almighty Father. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, it is important that we understand in these final days, as chaos, as uncertainty, as civil unrest, as end times ramp up and things become intense. It's a battle, and there's work to be done from the least to the greatest. We will learn how to adapt and adjust and press forward, as we will discover some people will be put in their proper position. There are those in positions that they should not be in. Come with me as I continue. There will be movement, O Yashar'al, growing in size. We must adapt and adjust to press forward. That movement is coming together. How can we state that there will be a gathering from the four corners of the earth and not expect movement, gathering together, growing in numbers, knowing what we must learn to adapt to and adjust to move forward, to complete this final exodus? Come with me, O Yashar'al. I want you to look, discern, and understand these words that I present to you. Romans 7th chapter, verses 14 through 25. Romans 7th chapter, verses 14 through 25. It reads, "For we know that the Torah is spiritual, but I am fleshly and sold under sin. For what I work, I know not. For what I wish, that I do not practice, but what I hate, that I do. But if I do what I do not wish, I agree with the Torah that it is good. If I do what I do not wish, I agree with the Torah that it is good." Now remember, he was saying he was doing the things that he was doing the things he shouldn't do. He said, "For what I work, I know not. For what I wish, that I do not practice. But what I hate, that I do. But if I do what I do not wish, I agree with the Torah that it is good." In other words, if I do what I do not wish, do not wish to operate in the flesh, I abide in the Torah that is good. It says, "And now it is no longer I," you see, "that work it, but the sin dwelling in me," when he's doing the things that he shouldn't be doing. "For I know that in me, that is in my flesh," he's explaining, "dwells no good. For to wish is present with me, but to work the good I do not find. For the good that I wish to do, I do not do, but the evil I do not wish to do, this I practice. And if I do that which I do not wish, it is no longer I who work it, but the sin dwelling in me. I find therefore this law, that when I wish to do good, that evil is present with me. For I delight in the Torah of the Almighty One according to the inward man. But I see another Torah in my members, battling against the Torah of my mind, and bringing me into captivity to the Torah of sin, which is in my members. Wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from this body of death? Thanks to the Almighty One through Yahushua Messiah, our Master. So then, with the mind, I myself truly serve the Torah of the Almighty One, but with the flesh, the Torah of sin. This is a passage where Shaul is talking about the battle, the inward man against the flesh. We must learn, and we will learn, the difference. When our flesh war against the spirit, we will learn as the scriptures come alive in us how to distinguish the difference. My brothers and sisters, we will learn how the Spirit of Yahusha delivers us, covers us with his blood, atoning blood, from the mistakes that we make, from the battles that are unfruitful and unwise. And we will rise up in the power of set-apartness and correctness made possible by the blood of the Lamb. We will learn, O Yashar'al, there is a battle. But in this final exodus, we will learn how to distinguish the difference between the flesh and the spirit, working either in us or through us. Come with me. Understanding how the flesh war against the spirit is important. Come with me to Galatians chapter 5, verse 16 through 18. For it reads, and I say, walk in the spirit, and you shall not accomplish the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusts against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are opposed to each other, so that you do not do what you desire to do. But if you are led by the spirit, you are not under Torah. Now, people don't understand what he means by that. Torah means instruction. Many people, before discerning the presence and the voice of the Spirit of Yahuah, went strictly by the text, the Mosaic Law, the Ten Commandments, strictly by just the text alone, pursuing obedience to the laws and statutes based off how they are written and were delivered to us. That was written instruction. That's the Torah is talking about, the Torah, what was written and given to Yashar'al. So it say, but if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under Torah. It means that the Spirit is guiding you by making the Torah more alive for us to understand. You see, there was a time when the Pharisees and Sadducees thought things you couldn't do on Shabbat. And Yahusha said Shabbat was made for man, not man for Shabbat. If you study the scriptures, even with the laws and statutes and the ordinance, there are times, many times in Exodus, where sometimes there was an exception to the rule. Not everyone that did work on Shabbat was killed. Sometimes there were exceptions to the rule. How do we know when it's exception to rule? By the Spirit making the Torah alive, and the Almighty Father, who is the author of Torah, his instructions, the Torah, his instructions, explain what he means and how we are to govern ourselves. To many, this may be confusing. To the hungry and thirsty for righteousness, we will grow to understand what this means, opposed to just dismissing Shaul's writing altogether. Come with me to Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11 through 13. It says, put on the complete armor of the Almighty One, for you have the power to stand against the schemes of the devil, because we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against authorities, against the world rulers of darkness of this age, against spiritual matters of wickedness in the heavenlies. You see, our flesh, though it may do righteous or it may do good, as guided appropriately, righteous, guided by the Spirit of Yahuah, wickedness, when we stumble and fall, and as a result of being seduced by wicked influence, spiritual influences that are not of Yahuah. So, my brothers and sisters, we put on this armor. We take on the complete armor so that we have power to withstand the wicked day, withstand in the wicked day, and having done all to stand. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, the armor speaks of us individually, having the armor of Yahuah. But it also speaks, we who are a body, a set-apart nation. One may take up the slack where the other may be weak or unlearned. One may take up the helmet. One may take up the shield. One may take up the breastplate. To each part of armor, the set-apart nation will cover. We will cover one another, and we will be covered, as the Almighty Father make known and clear to us. We will learn how to manage these earthen vessels. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, as we grow, as we learn, it's important to guard and maintain the things that are right, not sway back and forth. There are a lot of people who want to, quote unquote, play it safe, that don't want to come to identify the Almighty Father as Yahuah and his word that manifests before us as Yahusha. They rather use other different names, and that's their way of playing it safe. I am compelled to believe, my brothers and sisters, that Yahudah, which carries the scepter, which will form the lead in this final exodus, prove the name we are to address the Almighty Father and to address his word and know that they are one. My brothers and sisters, we will learn to protect. Once we come to know what is true, we will learn to protect and guard it. We will learn the difference, how to discern the difference regarding wheat and tares. There are some brothers who will have you think that this won't happen until the Mashiach returns. Distinguishing the difference between wheat and tares is when they reach a degree of maturity. You see, as wheat and tares grow, they look alike. But as they mature, it becomes very obvious what's a tare versus wheat in most cases. So the scriptures doesn't want us to wait till we get to the promised land and then he'll iron it all out. No, he'll finish ironing it out, but there will be some separation. There will be breakups within these camps, groups, and communities. There will be those separated who are not drawn by the Almighty Father, who are not truly our brothers and sisters. And we will learn how to discern. There will be leaders. There will be chosen ones that will make clear and bring understanding to how to confirm and reaffirm what the Almighty Father is doing. My brothers and sisters, timing and that stage of maturity helps in knowing how much have we taken in, how much do we know, how much has been confirmed and reaffirmed. You see, O Yashar'al, these things are possible, or the Father, in the name of Yahushua, would not expect us to do such things if it was not possible. The stage of maturity brings about help when it comes to knowing these body parts, strengthening these body parts, function together as one set-apart body, one set-apart nation. Never forget what is needed to walk set apart, my brothers and sisters. Consider these words. Proverbs 3:19 through 23. 3:19 through 23 say, Yahuah founded the earth by wisdom. He established the heavens by understanding. By his knowledge, the depths were broken up and the clouds dropped down dew. My son, let them not depart from your eyes. Watch over sound wisdom and discretion. Then they become life to your beings and an adorning to your neck. Then you would walk safely in your way and your foot would not stumble. Never forget, O Yashar'al, we must maintain a connection with the Almighty Father. We must pray without ceasing. We must be prayerful at all times, O Yashar'al. At least we find ourselves saying, I got it. It's simple as this, simple as that, and dismissing the need to be mindful of the Spirit of Yahuah, working in us and through us, one towards another in the name of Yahusha. We must always, moment by moment, keep that in mind. Come with me to 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 7 through 10, O Yashar'al. For it reads, 1 Corinthians 14, 7 through 10, Nevertheless, lifeless instruments making a sound, whether a flute or a harp, if they do not make a distinction in the sound, how shall it be known what is played on the flute or on the harp? For indeed, if the trumpet makes an indistinct sound, who should prepare himself for battle? So also you, if you do not give speech by the tongue that is clear, how shall it be known what is spoken? For you shall be speaking into the air. Therefore, there are undoubtedly so many kinds of sounds in the world, and none of them is without distinct sound. Many people claim to be learning true Hebrew. Many of them are more so listening to Yiddish or modern Hebrew, not the original language. There's much deception leading people to believe that. On top of that, you got the varying languages of different nationalities across the world. But I say to you, O Yashar'al, for this final exodus, we will grow to know how to communicate in unity, how to function in sequence, as the Spirit of Yahuah will give us the words to say as he will direct us. And in due season, the pure lip mentioned in Zephaniah will find its place, but it is not what people are telling you. Imagine when emergencies come. Do you think a person is going to have time to say, well, this is the Hebrew, but this is Aramaic, this is Yiddish, that's English, that's Spanish, that's German? Watch, O Yashar'al, and witness the miracle of how we will communicate with each other as this final exodus that will occur before the physical return of Yahusha Mashiach takes shape. Knowing how to discern and identify set-apart teachers is paramount. Consider these words, O Yashar'al. For the body parts, identify, functioning together, working together. There's a give and take. There's some things we will learn that must be communicated to one another to build us up in unity. Consider these words. Proverbs 9:9 say, give instruction to a wise one, and he is wiser. Teach a righteous one, and he increases in learning. You see, we will be able to identify those who are wise and are increasing in learning versus those that say they're wise but seem to be going in circles and not offering more things to fortify the body, just speaking in circles. Did you know as the blood passes through the body, it doesn't back up? It goes one way till it reaches the heart. Oxygen is brought in along with water and fluids to turn the blood red again, oxygenated in a way, I should say just oxygenated in a way to refresh the cells and the body parts. The blood that passed through the liver at a point in time is not the same blood coming around. It would have been cleansed. It would have went through processes. The Almighty Father have never asked us to go around in circles. The Mashiach said he would give us endless water, endless instructions, my brothers and sisters. We must learn to see if the teachers are teaching us things that are endless, things that causes us to look at the Almighty Father and grow stronger in Him. Come with me to 1 Timothy 3, verse 1 through 7. Trustworthy is the word. If a man longs for the position of an overseer, he desires a good work. An overseer then should be blameless, the husband of one wife, sober, sensible, orderly, kind to strangers, able to teach. Notice it's not saying that everybody husband should have just one wife. This is saying an overseer. And some will use this verse to say, see, polygyny is wrong. Polygyny is a nation-building tenet. There are some with convictions to cover more than one wife. And there are some with convictions to cover one wife. And there are those that are convicted in order to remain single, married only to Yahusha. It says here, an overseer should be blameless, the husband of one wife, sober, sensibly, orderly, kind to strangers, and able to teach. Not given to wine, no brawler, no gentle, not quarrelsome, no lover of silver. One who rules his own house well, having the children in subjection with all reverence. Or if a man does not know how to rule his own house, how should he look after the assembly of the Almighty One? You see, my brothers and sisters, there's one who used profanity wildly, who seemed to be as a wine bibber, borderline alcoholic, and demonstrate behaviors that are unseemly, a behavior that you would not want your children to be doing. Unseemly behavior that's not suitable for children. But yet he calls himself pastor, overseer. Sure, the people give him that label and he carried that label. And I'm speaking about one without mentioning his name because he's not the only one. There are others who do such things. Demonstrate wicked behaviors that they wouldn't want their children demonstrating. It's not a new convert, lest he become puffed up with pride and fall into judgment of the devil. And he should even have a good witness from those who are outside, lest he fall into reproach and the snare of the devil. Watch, O Yashar'al, in these end times, in these final days, the Almighty Father will bring a halt to misdirected pastors, leaders, bishops, deacons, prophets. He will bring a halt to those who are rebellious and disobedient. He will make clear those that are wicked. He will remove us from them or them from us. In some cases, some will be removed and purged permanently, and some will be disciplined and yield to the correction of the power and might of the Almighty Father and rise up stronger than what they were before in righteousness. Yashar'al, Yashar'al, prepare to witness drastic change in the coming days. Prepare to discern true set-apart teachers, those who keep the scriptures whole. 1 Timothy 4:10 through 12 says, it is for this that we labor and struggle, because we trust in the living Almighty One, who is the Savior of all men, particularly of those who believe. Command and teach these matters. Let no one look down on your youth, but be an example to the believers in word, in behavior, in love, in spirit, in belief, in cleanliness. Cleanliness is an ongoing thing. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al. Every body part have responsibilities, tasks, and requires nourishment, strength, confirmation, and reaffirmation. My brothers and sisters, prepare to witness how we will learn how to work and face our battles victoriously. Some of you may say this is tedious or too redundant, or I don't need all that. But some will take this as water that strengthens their position, our position, the position of Yashar'al. To you who understand the value in the words that strengthen you, me, us, I salute you. And I continually pray that the Almighty Father, His orders will be made clear with each passing day. We will learn how to work together, my brothers and sisters. There will be teachings passed on from generation to generation, and we will watch a cleaning process. Some teachings that's been passed on, we will discover that they are wrong and incorrect. And some teachings will come and bring correctness. They will liberate us from the strongholds of false teachers, from the strongholds of those that don't really know, don't really understand. Freedom is coming, freedom from the strongholds. And we will find ourselves serving the Almighty Father like we never could have imagined. There will be times of rejoice, there will be times of regret. But we will learn the things that are true, the things that are pure, the things that are righteous. We will learn how to pass that on from generation to generation with each movement to fulfill these final days, O Yashar'al. My brothers and sisters, prepare to welcome more set-apart ones coming together. As Yashar'al is waking up, as Yashar'al is brought into correctness, prepare to welcome more set-apart ones coming from many different backgrounds, drawn by the power and might of the Almighty Father. And let me present these two passages that speak of this final Exodus, something that is important. Isaiah 11:12, he shall raise a banner for the nations and gather the outcasts of Yashar'al and assemble the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth. That was Isaiah 11:12. Jeremiah 23:3-4 says, therefore I shall gather the remnant of my flock out of all the lands where I have driven them, and shall bring them back to their fold, and they shall bear and increase, and I shall raise up shepherds over them, and they shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be discouraged, nor shall they be lacking, declares Yahuah. People will say, I ain't gonna have a man teach me. I don't trust no man. What we should say is we don't trust any man that does not demonstrate set-apart teachings, set-apart behaviors, set-apart instructions. Because he says here clearly there will be shepherds to feed the flock. And then when it comes to the remnant, my brothers and sisters, I prayed on this matter, and I believe the Almighty Father showed me there will be millions gathered from the four corners of the earth. But when you compare them to the total population on the planet, they will represent only a remnant. Less than 1% could be 10 million. Some people misquoted me as saying it to be 10 million. I'm just saying it's going to be millions, of which I know not, but a great number. And this requires order. This requires structure. This would require each person in a proper position. This would require vetting and asking questions. What if the hand was dangling off the side of the head? Is that right? Is that the way we were created? Or the toes was wiggling coming from the butt? Someone say that would be freaky. What if you interviewed someone and their job was to navigate from one point to the next, and they told you they knew navigation, but then when it came to movement, their cell phone or electronic device died with no power, and they didn't know how to look at the sun coming up from the east and setting in the west. They didn't know how to look to the sky and determine which direction to go. But they told you they could navigate. If someone told you they can navigate and you interviewed them, and then when push comes to shove, they can't tell you, how would you feel? You see, we need to ask specific. How will you navigate us? What tools do you need? What resources to find and identify their limitations? Even when it came to cooking or growing food, if a person doesn't know, we need to know where their skill sets drop and others pick up. My whole point, my brothers and sisters, with body parts, we must not take each other for granted, but we must know what we are capable of doing and know what expertise and what degree of maturity and wisdom we have obtained in specific positions. Let me continue. Set apart Yashar'al will be made whole and complete. Yashar'al, Yashar'al. Consider these words in Revelation 20th chapter, verse 12 through 15. It says, I saw, Revelation 20, verse 12 through 15. I saw the dead, small, great, standing before the throne, and books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged from what was written in the books according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead who were in it. And death and Sheol gave up the dead who were in them. And they were judged, each one according to his works. And death and Sheol, the grave, some might say death and hell, were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And if anyone was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. The ultimate conclusion, my brothers and sisters, is those that are the Almighty Father and set apart will become completely whole by the power and might of the Almighty Father. And there is much work to be done between now and reaching that point before Judgment Day. For those who will be physically alive, we must seek to discern. For those that are alive now, we must seek to discern. What is the Almighty Father saying to us this day, this moment, these times? My brothers and sisters, if you're truly pursuing set apartness, learn how to ask questions, seek, discern, and identify. Learn how to discern what work, what battles related to body parts are before us and where we should be. Consider Proverbs 8:17 says, I love those who love me, and those who earnestly seek me do find me. Ask and seek, my brothers and sisters. Ask questions. Ask how can this be? Ask how does this come to be? As we read scripture, sometimes there are those who believe they are confused. One passage say judge, another one say do not judge. And they have conflict with understanding how this works, not knowing that it's the Spirit of Yahuah working in us that brings us to judge by bringing scriptures alive and working in us. But he does not want us just going around judging based off of outward appearance in the sense of our own intellect, our own cognitive abilities, mental abilities. We judge based on the scriptures made alive before us. We judge based off the Spirit of Yahuah working in us, pointing us to things that line up with scripture that prove whether something is wrong or right, not just because we feel like it or because we think. We will learn the realities of true judgment and how it would come to be as a result of seeking Yahuah and finding him. Matthew 7:7 say, ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be open to you. As end times get intense and we find some disagreements, if we ask the question with patience and dive into the scriptures with a prayerful mind and the spirit, answers will come. Correction will come. Unity will come. The doors will be opened. Come with me to John, 1 John, chapter 5, 13 through 15. 1 John, chapter 5, 13 through 15. He said, I have written this to you who believe in the name of the Son of the Almighty One, so that you know that you possess everlasting life, and so that you believe in the name of the Son of the Almighty One. And this is the boldness that we have in him, that if we ask whatever according to his desire, you see, we have an obligation to grow, to pray without ceasing, and identify his desire for us. Pray whatever according to his desire. He hears us. And if we know that he hears us, whatever we ask, we know that we have the petitions that we have asked of him. So many people think they can just pray and ask for anything, not trying to identify whether the Almighty Father, that is his desire for them or not. They think more selfishly because that's the way some are taught. In these end times, my brothers and sisters, we will learn. We will grow in maturity. We will get past childish things and embrace the things necessary to fulfill what is promised. Yashar'al, or my brother, my sister, family, prepare to witness body parts that make up a true set-apart family. Prepare to witness functions of the body that we have taken for granted. Prepare to see how sometimes he who is least upon us might be that necessary body part to point us, to direct us when we stumble or fall, or to add that extra bit of strength and confidence for us to function well as we find ourselves being gathered together. Prepare to witness the results of the Almighty Father's discipline to his children that is promised. My brothers and sisters, ready or not, the final exodus will take shape as the gathered moves into place. Look around at the destruction that is occurring. I believe all across the world there are some Hebrews, some set-apart ones who wish they would have moved sooner than now, who wish they would have took heed. For I believe in the Western Hemisphere, those that will be gathered from the four corners of the earth, there will be those that will come together in the Commonwealth of Virginia, in the state of Virginia, before crossing the ocean to the land that is promised. There are those who are not quite sure where it's at, and they just would rather just say Africa. Africa is a continent. The Almighty Father didn't say, I give you the continent, the largest continent on the planet. It clearly distinguishes the border of the promised land from the Euphrates to the great river of Egypt. There are borders, there are perimeters identified as the promised land. And this is where we will return, those whom the Almighty Father has chosen to fulfill his promise. And there are those that intermittently are just getting out of the Western Hemisphere and believe they have made it to the promised land. And there are those who believe the promised land is in South Africa. I do not believe that. And I believe in due season it will be a great multitude with direction and confidence, knowing where we're headed and what is expected of us once we reach that destination, how there will be order and structure. And we will understand the dynamics of a disciplined, set-apart nation between now and the days of arriving to the promised land. My brothers and sisters, look around. Look around and ask yourself, can you see what is happening? Are you with a camp, a community, a group, a fellowship where you're growing, or are you just doing the same thing over and over? Or are you just witnessing showmanship from leadership? Or are you being fed? Are you being strengthened? Are you growing stronger? Is your body spiritually becoming stronger? Even physically, but more so, he that is within you, is he being strengthened in you? Yashar'al, why don't we communicate? Prepare to witness answers by the Spirit of Abba Yahuah, sent in Yahusha's name. Demonstrate why it's important to communicate, why it's important to begin to get to know one another, why it's important to seek out the things that bring unity. I ask you, are you my brother? Are you my sister? Why don't we communicate? And if you have others that you say are brothers and sisters, do you communicate with them? Do you know them? Have we engaged in really trying to get to know each other the best we can if we believe we will be brought together? That time is now, O Yashar'al. That time is now to identify that body part, its functions, what's needed to strengthen us, to build tight relationships as the Spirit of Yahuah directs us. For those that are married, how to strengthen and reflect how Yahusha's relationship to the body, the set-apart nation is. How to function correctly requires seeking, asking, discerning, yielding. It requires the guidance of the Almighty Father. Stay tuned, O Yashar'al. There's much more to come. This concludes the sequence regarding body parts. But I say stay tuned, for there's so much work to be done, so many details and processes that will come to be in the days ahead. There will be a final exodus, and we will witness the generation that will participate in such. On that note, I salute your patience, your tolerance, your pursuit of set-apartness. I pray that you grow to understand the things that strengthen you, me, us, and set-apartness. In the name of Yahusha, I pray for us, O Yashar'al, to the Almighty Father Yahuah. My name is Yahusha. My name not Yahusha. My name is Symmanayah. Please forgive me. My name is Symmanayah, and in the name of Yahusha, I come to you. Be encouraged and stay tuned for more encouraging words. You be the judge whether the words I speak bring life or not. Take care, my brother, my sister. Hope to see you. Hope to talk to you soon. Shalom. Shalom, my brothers and sisters.